Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
Jay, I want to be a good boy.
No, Brad. No, not. That's not how things are going to work. It is now illegal for you to send out tariffs. This is bad, Brad.
I want to be a good boy might be the new I did everything right and they indicted me. Maybe.
Well, according to him, he also, quote, I won affordability. Like, that was another quote of his this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't hear about it anymore because he defeated it. He slayed it like he's slaying a fucking dragon. So.
I want to be a good boy. Also, what was the quote? It's not on the docket this week. At his board of peace, he said, "Oh, we've got the president of Peru here. He's a good-looking, handsome guy. I don't like good-looking, handsome guys. I like good-looking, handsome women." I was like, young, good-looking, handsome women. I was like, what are you saying, dude? Like, stop it, just please. Also, it should be called Board of Peace, BORED, because he
BORED. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that meme for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the tariffs are the big story. The SCOTUS came in, dropped the hammer that they have long been waiting to do. They're just trying to delay the inevitable.
Yeah, couple dude I told you is from me saying that like the obvious delay in releasing this decision was evidence that it was probably means that they were going to strike them down, and I don't know what exactly they were waiting for, but they were waiting for something. And you get the dude I told you where it's like, hey, where SCOTUS base is like, hey, dude, we don't care if you're a king. Just don't fuck with the money.
Yep.
And he committed the sin of fucking with the money.
Yep. And look, here's the thing. The SCOTUS coming down 6-3 and voting against Trump's tariffs. Now, by the way, just so we're aware, that's not all of the Trump tariffs, right? So things like tariffs on aluminum and things like that are not being struck down.
Yeah, this was specifically the tariffs that he enacted under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act,
right?
Which was everything but steel, aluminum, and copper, and a few other ones. Those are tariffs that are based under a different statute. That it's like an anti-competitive. I can't remember what statute those are under, but those are under a different statute. Those are still in place. These are just the punitive, 40% against this country and 25% against this country and 60% against this country bullshit that he has been throwing out for the past year or so.
Yeah, the infamous holding up the giant sign with all the countries, with all the percentages of that's what they were charging us, which was not true. Those were just like trade deficits. And he was just like,
by the way, speaking of trade deficits, fun fact. Last year, like I know we've talked a little bit about it on the show, and you talked about specifically, I think, late in the year, the trade deficits were like incredibly low. Well, the numbers are in for 2025. Turns out 2025, one of the lowest trade deficit years in U.S. history since 1960.
Cool.
So that's cool. So you have literally failed in your stated goal of, hey, I'm doing this because trade deficits are bad. Well, you've made them worse. Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah. So shocking news. Like, yeah, if people aren't buying more from us, that's going to cause the trade deficits to
turns out, hey, Americans are still going to have to buy foreign goods because we can't produce stuff over here. We're just paying more for it. And also countries are like, fuck you, like we're buying less from you because you're charging people more to buy from us. So
right. So it's a win-win for everyone else and not for us.
Right.
Good job. Thanks for that. So yeah, the tariffs, look, I mean, to your point earlier, yeah, of course this was going to get knocked down, right? Of course, because fundamentally, if you allow this guy to tariff everyone indiscriminately, you're going to see a lagging economy, which the GDP numbers came out this week, and that's exactly what we saw, right?
Actually, literally right before the decision was announced, like you saw Fox scrambling to explain why we only saw 1.5% GDP growth in Q4 last year, when I think the White House was predicting something over 2.5.
Yeah, I believe so.
Give or take. Pretty lagging indicator. Of course, Republicans immediately jumped out and blamed the quote Democrat shutdown, end quote, as far as the reason why GDP growth wasn't where it needed to be. Sure, I guess. Lord knows all those federal jobs are generating GDP left and right every day. So
yes. So the question is, the tariffs have cost an estimated $175 billion with a B dollars to the American public. That's through corporations and regular Joe Schmoes like ourselves. Now, keep in mind, what was it? There was a report a couple of months ago that like 93%, I believe it was like above 90% at least, of the tariffs have come down to the consumer, right? But
well, and so to be clear, like again, for people that get confused by this, because of course when people report on Trump talking about it, like they just report what he says and he's wrong all the time about this stuff. So when the tariffs are paid, when the product that is tariffed comes into the country, so whichever company has purchased the product is importing the product, they're the ones that are paying the tariffs. Now, customers pay the tariffs if like you are directly importing something from overseas, but the majority of the tariffs that are out there that are in this 175 billion were paid for by companies that were importing goods from overseas. Now, just now to Jay's point, he is correct that the study that, determined that, I think what you said, 93% or something of the tariffs ended up making their ways down the consumer, is that companies, when they pay more to get the goods in, raise the end user price of the goods to somewhere else. So companies are still recapturing most of that investment unless they decide to take it on the chin, which is not typically how these things work. And it just makes the cost of goods even more. There's a really funny, like as it happens, the day before this, Trump did like an event in Georgia where he was at, I don't know if it was like a steel factory, or I think it was a factory that used steel to make like racking for like warehouses and stuff like that. Okay. And he was talking to the owner, and he was like, he's like, this guy, like his business was about to go under and the tariff saved it. And the guy's like, yeah, he's like, cause I was charging $150 for my racks and the people were able to buy stuff from China for $90, and the tariffs were a real game changer. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, so yeah, like how's, so again, who's paying the tariffs?
Right. Like that doesn't.
Oh, that's right.
Like listen to all of what they're saying to you guys. Yeah, so it was looking at this like BBC report. It was like 90%. Of Americans paying those tariffs. So $175 billion. Now the question is, where is that $175 billion going? Is it going to be clawed back to the people who have been paying that, right? Or is it going to just kind of be like, okay, well, sorry about your luck kind of situation. Let's just move on. Places like Costco and Walmart have had lawsuits that have already been in place and for months now about this very issue, because they're like, bro, we import a lot of shit. I'm sure Walmart imports like all of their things pretty much from China, but they have been really screaming about this because they're getting screwed over. Costco obviously is the same deal. And Costco probably is on the Trump administration shit list because they refuse to bend the knee over DEI, and people love Costco. And the Trump administration thought that they could really pressure them. And Costco's like, we sell $5 chickens in a $1.50 hot dog and a soda. We're good with the American people. And people are like, yeah, no, we love these guys. So those big lawsuits have already been in place, and this is only going to boost their chances of winning those really bigly. Well,
and not only that. So, but you're also seeing on the other side of this, smart Democrats, especially Democrats that might have ambitions to do something specific in 2 years, are starting to now run with this message of, hey, the Trump administration stole $1,700 from you, American, because they're basically taking the total cost of the tariffs and dividing it by the number of taxpayers that are in the country. And they're essentially pressuring the Trump administration and essentially starting to kind of roll out the line like, hey, if they don't do this, we will, of doing a direct payout of the tariffs to the American people, which would be like the fairest way to do it, because again, like the companies have gotten theirs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it would be kind of double dipping for corporations to be like, oh, 100%. We're refunding all this tariff money to you. And also you can just keep because it's not like corporations are going to lower prices. Like that's not going to fucking happen. Certainly not overnight. So I think the messaging of getting that money directly to the American people is going to be a winning message for a lot of folks.
Yeah, look, the problem here is, to your point, the double dipping is a big deal, right? Corporations are like, hell yes, like, this is awesome for us, right? So I'm not advocating for that, obviously. Look, if they look, we've already gotten screwed as a consumer anyway.
Right.
If Costco wants to like kick the shit out of the Trump administration over it, well, what can I do? God, go with God. But my bigger issue is if the Trump administration, and I don't think this is going to happen, by the way, if they decided to pay out the money, the $1,700, let's say to every family, they're not going to, because that would cost them an astronomical amount of money. But if they decided not to, they could very easily make this argument of like, no. This is the Doge checks or whatever bullshit to like snowball these users or these losers is probably a better term. Snowball these like losers in MAGA who would be like, see, we got tariff checks, we got Doge checks, right? And meanwhile, they're just giving you back the money they already stole from you, which is kind of how tax refunds basically work. And I could see that working in their favor for like morons to be like, oh, but like they did what they promised. It's like, no, dude, they stole that money out of your left pocket and then they just handed it back to you, right? And I'm afraid that maybe someone in the administration could see that calculus and that could help them in the midterms. But then I also think they would have to admit ultimately that they were wrong, and that is just not in their playbook, nor is actually paying poor people anything. Like they're just not.
Yeah, I mean that's the real problem is there's no one in this administration who is capable of seeing past their own self-interest to seeing to what would benefit the party as a whole and what's going to be a very contested midterm election that's coming up in 9 months here. So
yeah, so like I worry about that, but then again I'm like, look who we're talking. Like they're not
that is the problem with loading your administration up with the most corrupt, self-interested assholes on the face of the fucking planet, is that all of them are just like, I need to get mine before the well dries up, so like we don't have to worry about like what's going on later. Like we don't even have it on the docket this week, but there's a couple Planegate stories. So we apparently, like, DHS has this plane that has like a fucking like queen size bed so that Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski can fuck each other like on their way to and fro their little endeavors and all these like luxury things. Kash Patel is taking the fucking FBI jet to Milan this weekend so that he can watch the Olympic men's gold medal hockey game in person. And the FBI is like, no, like he's going over there on official business. Like, sure, bro. Like that's, like, whatever you say.
He literally, and here's the thing. He literally came out was like, hockey, men's hockey is my favorite sport. Like, I think that guy's just going to go watch.
Oh, trust me. Unfortunately, I'm well aware because as Alex Ovechkin was closing in on the goal scoring record last year for like the 4 or 5 games that was going on, I got the pleasure of seeing fucking Kash Patel on my fucking television constantly next to Wayne Gretzky over and over again. Like, just. And especially for me, who fucking loved Wayne Gretzky as a kid, was one of my favorite athletes. Fucking heartbreaking to see that dude's just a fucking Canadian MAGA chud. So,
yeah, look, Jordan isn't doing too much better either. Okay, like
I get again, like when you're kids, you don't understand the problem is the class division. It's not nothing else to do with that. So
look. I will say this, and this is aimed directly at a very specific demographic, age wise. But look, 3 of the pro stars, or 2 out of the 3 pro stars, fucking suck. Bo Jackson is the only one left, and that dude seems totally reasonable. Thank God. Okay, like thank God. If you've never seen Pro Stars, that is a cartoon that. You should have. You got to find that. It's got to be streaming somewhere. It was awesome. So yeah, the tariffs not good. But never miss an opportunity to fuck it up. Says Donald Trump. He decided, hey, you know how the court has said that what I'm doing is totally illegal? How about this? Fuck the Supreme Court. I'm going big. Not only am I not removing the tariffs or going to figure out a different way to put back these tariffs, I'm doing a 10% added tariff on these quote unquote global tariffs, which is the big chart of like, fuck these people, I'm just gonna hit everybody with 10%.
So basically he's using Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, which allows the president to unilaterally charge tariffs up to 15% if there are, quote, large and serious trade deficits. However, these tariffs are only legally allowed to last for 150 days unless Congress decides to extend them.
Okay, so I'm sorry, if they are serious trade deficits, what nebulous term for him is considered serious? Like, because for him, we have these tariffs right now, and they were considered emergencies, but the emergency has lasted over a year. That's not what an emergency is, right? So, to me,
and have made whatever existing trade deficits we have worse, as we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, pardon me, but I'm not buying any of those sort of nebulous terms are complete bullshit. I mean, even hard numbers are complete bullshit to this administration. I mean, I just saw a whole thing about they're not supposed. There's the Flores Act, where you're not supposed to hold children in detention more than for 20 days, where they're holding migrant children in detention for like almost 6 months, right? Like they're just like, what are even facts? What are even numbers? What are even laws? So yeah, he came out and said, look, I'm doing a global tariff of 10% because fuck the Supreme Court. And then, Brad, you put that on the docket. That was on Friday, February.
Yeah, while he was having his hissy in front of the media. So
yeah, well, guess what? The hissy fit isn't over because February 21st is the day of this recording. He came out on Saturday, was like, guess what's happening now? Fuck that 10%. It's going to 15 because I'm that man, which is hilarious to me, bro. Put it to 50%. Who gives a shit at this point? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Like it financially means something, obviously, but. It's just all willy nilly for him. It's like nothing actually. Like it's like, what is that show? Whose line is it anyway? Like, welcome to the show where scores mean nothing, right? Like it's just
the points don't matter. Yeah,
the points don't matter, right? Like it just doesn't mean anything for him, and he's just gonna say shit. If it's gonna be 15% today, it'll be 35% tomorrow.
Why do you suppose it? And Chris Hayes has been banging this drum for a really long time, even before the second term here. Why do you suppose that like tariffs appear to be the singular issue that he actually has an ideological commitment around?
You know what I think it is? I think it is fundamentally. Well, here's my answer, and it requires a question first, which is: do you think he truly understands? Do you think he knows what a tariff truly is? The question
no,
is,
I don't. I don't think he does. Honestly,
okay.
The behavior does not bear that out. So.
Okay, I also don't think that he understands what they are, and so I think if you believe that he does not understand what a tariff actually is, that it is a tax on Americans, then it is easy to understand why he believes in it, because he thinks that it only benefits us and or him, and it hurts foreigners. That's it. Like that's what he believes, and like. If you think like, oh, he actually does know what a tariff is, and like he knows it's hurting the American people and all that, like it doesn't make sense. You're like, well, then why would you do that? Like ultimately, if you know that's a lie. But I don't think that he does believe it's a lie. I think he thinks that, yes, tariffs hurt foreign entities. And that's all he thinks about, because he doesn't understand what a trade deficit is. So it's like, this is how we get back at these sons of bitches.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think that's what it is. Like, I think it's just the mindset. If you are paying more than the other guy is, then you're a loser and a sucker and you're getting screwed.
Yes.
I think that's literally...
that's fundamentally it. And look, I've talked about this before. I took a class when I was in grad school, like for business. I took a class, and the class was on, or a part of the class was on negotiating, right? Like that's specifically what it was about, right? Like contract negotiations. And the whole idea was there are different types of negotiating styles, right? Most negotiating styles are like, you're a bit unhappy, I'm a bit unhappy, we come somewhere in the middle, right? That's compromise fundamentally, right? And there's other styles of like how you play more aggressively and things like that, or you offer different things and stuff like that. Trump's style was one of the styles, right? This is like back in 2013, I think, when I took that class. So this was well before Trump became like a political entity, right? So it wasn't like we're talking about it because of Trump. We talked about his style of negotiating, which his style, by his own admission, is I win, you lose. Which my professor went on to say is the worst negotiating style, right? And he's correct. He was correct about that. But for Trump, it is very effective, right? Because he just lawsuits people into fucking submission. But in this case, on the international stage, that's exactly what he's doing. I win, you lose. That's the Roy Cohn sort of situation, right? It's fight, fight, fight all the time. And so if you look at it from that perspective, his tariff policy makes total sense. It makes total sense. We're fucking these guys over and we're getting all the money, baby. And it's like, yeah, that'd be true if you weren't just ripping the $175 billion from your own citizens. But he doesn't care to know because he's intellectually a buffoon. So it is what it is.
So the other interesting part of this is, of course, because he had a full fucking toddler breakdown about this in front of the media, he's specifically mad at the 3 Republican justices who voted against this, who were John Roberts, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch. RBG, even in death, still making things happen. Yeah, apparently. But Gorsuch and Barrett, of course, he was specifically pissed off at because he was the one who appointed them to be on the Supreme Court. I think he said not only should they be embarrassed, like their families should be ashamed of them, like that sort of thing, which is a crazy thing to say. I feel. And also he alluded that the Supreme Court has like foreign interests that they're beholden to.
I have that quote. I was waiting for
it. Oh, you have the quote.
I have the quote.
Okay.
Says, quote, they're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. Here's my thing.
Yeah, but say, wow, you're right, but not for the reasons you think you are.
Exactly. Like, right message, wrong messenger, right? Like okay. But there's another aspect to that I think is important. Because you said he's mad at those 3 justices. I disagree with that. That quote tells me everything. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests. He's mad at the entire fucking court, bro. He is not playing this person and this person. Fuck all these guys. They were supposed to work for me. I win, you lose ideals, right? Like that's where he is. He is going to go to fucking work on the Supreme Court. And look, you and I talked about this offline in our own chat. You're hoping that Roberts and those guys are at the State of the Union because he's going to blast them. 1,000% he's going to. And he is not going to spare any of those conservative judges. He's not going to spare any of the judges at all at that at the State of the Union. Like I think he's going scorched earth, period. But I love this for them because this is the monster that you've created. And Roberts came out and was like, well, you know, we basically had to knock this down because otherwise the president would just, you know, it would just be acting unlawfully and that would be wrong. I'm like, says the guy who allowed this guy to get unfettered power. Like Trump said the other day on Friday, he said something to the effect of like, well, they allow me to do all of these things and, you know, I can go and destroy foreign countries and I can do all of this, but I can't put a little fee on things. Like what the fuck? And I'm thinking to myself, he's not exactly wrong about that. Like,
no, he's not exactly wrong. Like you can understand.
Yeah. Like, of
right,
course.
I understand why he would feel aggrieved about this. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, it's just hilarious to me. Like, I don't obviously agree with Trump and his actions around tariffs or his actions around the Supreme Court or anything. But for him to be angry at the Supreme Court for all the leeway they've given him on literally every unconstitutional thing he has done, of course, he doesn't think it's unconstitutional, and then to come back and be like, wait a minute, I'm not sure these tariffs are okay. Yeah, if I were him, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you basically said I could shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue as president and I couldn't be arrested for it, but somehow tariffs are too, you know, are beyond the pale, which goes back to what I said earlier. They're going to let you do anything you want except fuck the money up. Because if you fuck the money up, then that hurts them. And here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't love this for us as a country, but I do like watching him have a hissy fit, and I love the idea that the Supreme Court is about to get lambasted in this. The
other thing he said, just because again he was just like shooting from the hip, left and right, is he was talking about some Democrats who have talked about court packing, and he's like, there's some people out there who, they say pack the court, like they should put 21 justices in the court, and he's like, and he was like, you know what? Maybe we should. We'd be a lot better off if they did that. I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time, buddy.
Oh, bro, go ahead, man. Because I know people are thinking, oh well, then he'll just pack it with 21. Cool, we get in power, we'll pack it with 42. Like what the fuck? Like,
this isn't. Trust me, once you unring that, or once you squeeze that toothpaste out, then it just becomes a fucking race to the bottom, which
we're already there. we're already running. So, I just thought that was funny. Like, well, I can't just impose a little fee, and it's like he's not exactly wrong. I mean, the way he said it was ridiculous, but he's not exactly wrong. But yeah, fuck him. So, all right, let's get into news you need. Let's talk about the SAVE Act. This is a thing that has been on the radar. It has passed the House. It is very, 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 very unlikely to pass the Senate.
Well, let's talk about the Senate a little bit, because there was some so they were running into some problems with this, because what you could say is like what it counts for, the quote common sense Republican vanguard that exists within the Senate was pushing back against this. So this is like your Susan Collins, your Lisa Murkowski's, your Tom Tillis's, and I think there was one other one, but I don't recall who it was. They celebrated this week because Susan Collins this week signed on, like basically declared her support for it. So they are now at a point where they do have a 50 vote threshold, or they do have 50 votes in the Senate for Republicans, that if the vote were to come to the floor, they could get it across the line with, of course, JD Vance, being a tie-breaking vote in this instance. The problem, of course, is they have to get it past the filibuster in order to get it onto the floor, which is not going to happen. Like you're not going to find 7 fucking Democrats to sign on to this shit to be like, yeah, like let's
fuck up the election in massive ways right now while we're winning. I mean, look, I know the standard, boilerplate answer is, well, Democrats like to fuck shit up. Dude, Democrats aren't this stupid. Like it would require all the Democrats. You would have to find 7 Democrats to also get hit in the head with bricks like John Fetterman in order for that to happen, and it just won't happen.
So you're seeing Republicans out in force. They've gotten their talking points right about this, because they've been going on TV to try to rally support for it. The big talking point here is like, well, I got to show my ID whenever I go buy beer at the liquor store, and I'm like, cool. It's like when you get a constitutionally protected right to buy beer, let me know and we'll take care of those ID restrictions for beer for you. But until that fucking happens, shut the fuck up, you idiot.
These are the worst arguments. I'm not sure I've seen worse arguments in favor of this outside of maybe arguments in favor of the Electoral College, which are all dumb.
It gets worse. It gets worse, Jay, because people pointed out reading this legislation. So one of the things of this legislation is that in order to vote, you would have to show your ID, and that ID would have to match the name that's on your voter registration. And so people are like, hey, wait a second. Like, there's a lot of women who registered to vote when they were single, and then they get married and they change their name on their driver's license. But you don't go back to the fucking Board of Elections to be like, hey, Board of Elections, by the way, I changed my name. Can you send me an updated voter registration? That doesn't work. That doesn't work that way. So
I'm actually, here's the thing. You're not exactly correct about this. You're correct on the fundamentals. You're not exactly correct on this. It's not going to the Board of Elections or your registration that doesn't match your name, which that part is correct, right? There are obviously tons of women who have changed their name. No. The SAVE Act would require that your name that you're registering to vote matches your birth certificate, which is doubly worse, right? Right. It's doubly bad.
Yeah, right.
Because obviously you can't change your birth certificate. So how do you reconcile that? Which would mean, according to things that I've read, it would mean that they would go to register and it's like, okay, we're going to need your birth certificate. Well, my license doesn't match my birth certificate, for instance. Okay, well, now you need to bring in your marriage license. Okay, so
like Republicans are like, oh, they can simply just bring their marriage license with them. It's fine.
All of these things, right? And I would just like to point out, there are reports that conservative women change their name, and this shouldn't be a surprise. Conservative women change their names to their husband's name when they get married at 2 times the rate of liberal women. So who would this hurt more? Conservative women or liberal women? You take a guess, right? But then
and of course the right-wing chuds that like the extreme right-wing assholes, they love this because they're like, bro, I fucking hate the 19th Amendment. Like anything that makes it harder for women to vote, like this is great. I think this is fantastic.
And make no mistake, that's on purpose. Okay, because they've been trying to these chuds have all been trying to push down the 19th Amendment. Obviously, women's suffrage. Suffrage does not mean women are suffering. If you're an idiot, it's the right to vote. They've been trying to knock that down. They've been trying to squeak that into the normal conversation from red pill America. And so this is an avenue to do that. But wait, there's more. The SAVE Act also would require that people, another form of ID that would be seen as okay is passports. Now, I know what you're thinking, Brad. Everyone in America has a passport, right? Right? They travel all the time.
I don't have a passport.
Wow. Brad, the worst. I do.
I've never left the country. What the fuck do I need one for?
Well, I'm a real American, Brad, and I like a real American. I have a passport, so I can get the fuck out of there.
Right now,
that. So let's talk about passport circulation because I think it is important to talk about this. Of the 341.8 million people who live in America, only 183 million Americans have passports. That's a lot of people without passports. 46% of the population 46% of the population doesn't have passports. 46%.
Because it's generally one of those things that you only get when you need to get one. Like, it's not something that you go out of your way to be like, hey, let me have this passport just in case I want to fucking get on a plane and fly to Germany on a whim. Like, that's not how this shit usually fucking works.
Right. And who doesn't, right? Obviously. So the question is, right, so that's a big deal. Obviously, almost 50% of the population does not have passports. Now, if you take that number and you say, what are the top, let's just say, for my own edification, I did this, what are the top 10 states with the least amount of people with passports?
Oh, boy. Let me see. Oh, people, the top 10 states with passports? Without
passports.
Oh, without. Okay, let me see how many of the 10 I can get. And I'm sure this is by capita, right? Like, this isn't a raw number thing.
This is percentage of people without passports.
Okay, state number 1.
All right, there we go.
Wyoming.
Not on the list.
Not on the list. Shocking. Alabama.
Yes, on the list. Number 3.
Mississippi.
By the way, Alabama number 3. 72.3% do not have passports. Go for it. Mississippi.
Yeah. Mississippi. Yeah.
Number 2 at 77.9%. Keep in mind, 77.9% isn't the top one.
Let's say Texas.
No, not on the list.
Okay, that was probably a dumb one. Arkansas.
Correct. Number 4 at 71.6%.
It's weird how it's one specific area of the country where we're hyper fixating on these. No. Oklahoma, since we're staying in flyover states.
Correct. That's number 7 at 66.9%.
Kansas.
No, not on the list.
Oh, look at the worldly travelers in Kansas. Idaho.
No, not on the list.
Okay, so what I'm learning is border states we can probably ignore because they might be going to Canada for shit. So okay, that's fine. South Dakota?
No, there's a lot of money there.
Wow, look at that. Look at that.
And by the way, this is not in the top 10. Doesn't mean it's not number 12.
Right, it doesn't mean it's like it doesn't mean it's like 12. Kentucky?
Correct. Number 5 at
Number 5.
71%.
I'd have to imagine Tennessee then probably on the list.
Correct.
As well.
That's number 8. That's 64.6%. Got 4 more.
Missouri can't be, can it?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so. Oh, West Virginia.
Number 1, baby. Number 1. West Virginia, number 1, 79.3%. Nearly 80% of West Virginians do not have a passport.
Utah probably also.
No, not
in this top 10, maybe. No, shocking. And I'm going to say only one more guess because I don't want to belabor this. South Carolina.
No.
Okay.
So
who are the 3 that I'm missing?
All right, I'll just go through the list. I'll go from 10 to 1. Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, and West Virginia.
I was gonna guess Louisiana, but for some reason, I thought that just because they have a high Creole population, that people might want to travel around. But
no, people love going there. They don't like leaving.
Yeah.
That's the problem. New Orleans rocks. Yeah. So the top 10 states are all Republican states. Top 10. So again, you're going to implement the SAVE Act, and it is going to disproportionately hurt women. All women, by the way, or the vast majority of women. It's going to hurt married women, disproportionately to married men, obviously, and it is going to disproportionately hurt Republican states. But by the way, this all comes under the guise of we want real or voter ID. And people keep making the argument, like you said, well, I got to show ID to buy liquor or whatever. Again, not in the Constitution about your right to buy liquor, right? They can't ban it, but it's not your right to buy it. But here's the thing. They want people to have voter ID, but they want people to pay for it. They want people to have passports that cost money. A passport's like $150, I think, more or less, right? Yeah. Which a lot of people cannot afford. Certainly not on a whim, by the way. If you don't happen to have your fucking birth certificate lying around, you have to pay to get another copy of that issued. So, by the way, keep in mind we have been gutting the Social Security Administration, so best of luck getting that in a time manner.
Great.
And so the SAVE Act does nothing to actually prevent voter fraud. We already have to be citizens to vote. The lack of or the amount of voter fraud that happens is so incredibly low. It's far less than 1%. And 9 times out of 10, it's not even voter fraud. It's that someone was mistakenly registered to vote, but didn't even vote because they're like, well, I'm not a citizen. They might be on the voter rolls, but and when I say small, I mean literally Georgia did an audit of this over 10 years, and they found 5 people on the voter rolls who shouldn't have been on there as far as not American citizens. None of those people voted, but their names had just been on. Right.
And again, every time we do see these organized incidences of voter fraud, it's always Republican voters doing some shady shit voting for people inside of a nursing home, and shit like that we've seen before.
It's funny that you say that. Next story. Turns out
it's not funny. I teed you up for this. This is called professional podcasting.
That's right. Come on, we're not amateurs. Turns out the voter fraud is calling from inside the house. Elon Musk was chastised because he's a billionaire and, God forbid, laws matter. But he was chastised by the Georgia State Elections Board. They voted on Wednesday of this week to issue a formal letter of reprimand, to Musk's America PAC over the billionaire technocrat's illegal scheme to get Trump elected. Georgia, a key battleground state in 2024, was a target of aggressive campaigning by Trump's team. In October of 2024, the Georgia Secretary of State's office launched an investigation after receiving numerous reports from residents across several counties saying they'd received partially pre-filled absentee ballot applications from Musk's America PAC. There was evidence to suggest America's PAC had violated state law that prohibits any person or entity other than an authorized relative to send an elector an absentee ballot application pre-filled with the elector's required information, according to Janice Johnston's, the SEB's vice chairman. So, yeah, one, I hate that it's a letter of reprimand. He should be brought up on charges. We have to stop like pussyfooting around with billionaires. This shit is ridiculous. Two, yeah, of course. Of course. This guy was also fake offering people money to register to vote, which is also illegal. So, shocking news. And by the way, going back to the SAVE Act thing, this whole idea of people paying to get like voter ID and everything else, that's a poll tax, and poll taxes are
poll tax, right?
Like that is like, have you taken government 101 back in like 9th grade? Everyone knows that one. Like, come on, this shit is simple.
So the reason that the SAVE Act is getting a lot of chatter, even though it doesn't have a realistic hope of passing in the Senate as things stand, is because there's some Republican murmurings that they might, nuke, like they might create a carve out in the filibuster to get this passed. Which you and I were talking before the show, like, hey, if Republicans want to carve out filibuster necessities for voter legislation, do it and find out what that gets you in a couple of years.
Yeah. So, okay, this is what's really very silly to me. So they're going to do this. They're going to do this carve out, or potentially, right? This is what they're threatening. They're willing to do a carve out for this. Okay. On a voter law, right? This is not a financial. This is not a budgetary issue, right? Like a reconciliation type of thing. This is on that. Democrats should absolutely be prepared, and I'm sure that they would be, to pass the John Lewis Act, which would actually, help voting. It doesn't help voter fraud because, again, there almost isn't any in the United States. It doesn't address that. What it does address is getting people same day registered, getting people, making the ability to vote easier. It's not to get liberals to vote easier or Democrats. This is a countrywide thing, and it should be, by the way, it should make the act of voting easier for American citizens. It should not be difficult. The fact that there are 8 to 10 hour lines for people in Georgia, mostly black voters, where you go to Maryland, that's a blue state, and you and I can go and vote in 10 minutes.
If I even decide to go to the polls, because we have mail-in voting now in Maryland.
Mail-in voting, Dropbox voting, you can do all of that, and it's literally it's not an issue in our states, right? But in a state that's just a couple of hours away, it's the biggest fucking nightmare of all time, and it's only a nightmare because they make it a nightmare, right? So. If you are willing, if the Republicans are willing to say, all right, we're going to do a carve out, or we're going to kill the filibuster altogether, or do a carve out for the filibuster for this, that's it. If Democrats get back in power, stop the bullshit, go super fucking hard. Like day one, John Lewis Act is fucking passed. Like, we're not having this bullshit. By the way, Trump has come out and said that whether or not the SAVE Act passes, we will have voter ID in the midterms. Because, by the way, their idea is which is crazy, but their idea
doesn't work like that, bro. But okay,
yeah, cool. Like, and I'll explain how dumb that is in a second if it's not painfully obvious. But their idea, by the way, is to pass the SAVE Act. Let's say they pass it by normal means, to implement this right away. Like, how the fuck? Because you're asking the states, because there is no federally controlled elections, you're asking the states to implement this. And by the way, it would still be this hodgepodge. Like, some states say, like, student IDs for colleges are not okay, but in the same time, hunting and fishing licenses are okay. Gee, I wonder why they do that. Like North Carolina. Because they're like, well, there's way too many liberal kids in that Chapel Hill fucking area. Exactly. That's exactly why they do it. They're like, hell no. You got to be a hunter for that shit. So it would still be this hodgepodge thing, but they're going to try to like smash that shit in and create utter chaos right before the midterm.
Not to mention, as soon as they passed the law, you would have people suing left and right
Immediately
as to the constitutionality of the law, which would also potentially delay implementation. Exactly. If the Supreme Court wasn't in the bag for Republicans, they would, probably put a stay on the law going into effect. But
of course,
it would cause tremendous chaos for sure. If they were to get this through. And to your point, if he's like, I'll do this by executive order. Again, man, like an executive order is not a law. Yeah, it's not a law. States don't have any obligation to fucking follow it.
And look, here's the thing. If Trump says, I'm going to do this and, and like red states are like, yes, sir, no problem. If you want to fuck up your elections, fine by me, dum-dum. Like, Democrats are going to be like, okay, sure. Like, we're not going to do that.
Well, no. I mean, that's still a problem because there's going to be a lot of like purplish states that are currently Republican controlled.
Sure, that's true.
That's going to have a chance of winning and overturning seats, and that would make it more difficult, conceivably, to do 100%,
100%. But at the same time, to the point that us going through that list of 10 states that are like have poor passport distribution, you're also making it incredibly rough for people that are Republicans in those states. So like you're going to cause more chaos overall. Like, yeah, the purple states might, like, they're definitely going to deal with a bunch of bullshit, but the red states that implement that are also going to deal with a bunch of bullshit. Meanwhile, the blue states are like, no, we're just going to do shit like we've always been doing. Now, the question is, what happens when that hodgepodge of bullshit goes on and then they all come together for, like, the numbers? And then, like, is the federal government going to be like, well, no, the blue states didn't implement this thing that's not a law? Like, what the fuck? But it would cause more of an issue in your own states than it would in the blue states. Like, ultimately, you will make everything harder for your people. And again, trying to smash this all in like 8 to 9 months is crazy. Like, it makes no sense. But I again, we don't see this passing, but people need to be aware of what the SAVE Act is because they're going to keep trying to do this. But that's why Democrats, whether they get this shit passed or not, or whatever, filibuster, carve out or whatever, that's why the Democrats should carve shit out or just go for it and do the John Lewis Act and be done with this shit. Like, just be done with it. And look, once you get a bunch of people easily voting, you'll do better. Right? Like all of this, like killing people's voter rolls every time. It's amazing how they have to kill the voter rolls every single election. It's like, didn't you guys just work on this last time? Like, no. Every 2 years, millions of new people get on. Like, that's not how that works. Like, it's nonsense. But by the way, it also would stop, SAVE Act would also stop same day registration. Shocking.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course. All right. Let's talk about James Talarico and the Streisand effect. Or maybe we're call this the Colbert effect at this point. So CBS under Barry Weiss decided that they were going
Well, we have to rewind a little bit because a lot of this the impetus for this has been driven by FCC chairman Brendan Carr, who I have to point out. The Verge does their, bi-weekly podcast, the Vergecast, and Eli Patel's usually on the later in the week episode. They've been doing a segment since this administration's come in on literally every Vergecast called Brendan Carr is a Dummy, where they highlight something very stupid that Brendan Carr has done in the past week to curb free speech at the FCC, essentially, in this country. And they keep managing to find things every week that they can point to that Brendan Carr is doing. So the reason this happened is a couple months ago, Brendan Carr basically said that like the FCC is probably going to start doing more to enforce the equal time rule that exists. And for those that don't know what the equal time rule is that there's a law in place that, or I don't know if it's a law or if it's like an FCC rule or something. Regardless,
it's just a rule.
It's just a rule that if you're on a broadcast television and you on like a news program, essentially, if you give a political candidate time on your airwaves to talk about whatever, but basically like showing them, you are bound by the SEC to give equal time to any other candidates in the race as well, in order to create fairness and stuff like that.
Right.
This rule has really not been enforced in the last 20 years by the FCC because of the proliferation of the internet. You know what I mean? Like how do you enforce this across a lot of broadcast spectrums? Plus, besides that, talk shows have always been an exemption from the equal time rule. Like they've never enforced this on talk shows because they don't consider talk shows to be news. They consider them to be, entertainment essentially. So this is right. So this has not been a thing, but Brendan Carr a couple months ago said like, hey, like we're going to start looking at this more. And he's doing this not because he's pointing at anyone specifically. He's doing this to curb mostly liberal late night talk shows from featuring political candidates, mostly Democrats, and to chill speech. Like that's what Brendan Carr is effectively doing. He's chilling free speech in America by threat. It's the same thing with the filibuster, how you don't actually have to enforce the filibuster in most occasions. Like normally just the threat of it is enough to curb people from trying to bring legislation that they know won't get past the filibuster to even the debate stage in the Senate. This is the same thing where it's like, hey, if you do this, I'm going to go after you. So maybe don't even do it in the first place.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, okay, so take all that and then the Talarico thing, right? Which is basically Stephen Colbert's lawyers were told like, hey man, if you can't do this interview with James Talarico.
Not Colbert's lawyers, I want to be clear. CBS's lawyers told him.
Yes,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Told him this.
So, hey, you can't do this interview with Texas Representative James Talarico, who is running for Senate, right? Because it's not giving equal time with Jasmine Crockett and, let's get real, Cornyn and what's his face? Kim
well, you could make the argument that you would only have to. This is a primary election that's coming up, so you would only have to interview the other Democratic candidates.
Because and that's the problem. Is the rule just says the candidate running for office, so they are, but they are running for Senate. So you have to include Kim Paxton, John Cornyn, Ramsey, I think his name is, like some other like third party or Republican guy, and then Jasmine Crockett. So he's like, okay, I guess I can't do that. Like they were like, you cannot do this without putting all these people on. Colbert's like, all right, well, I guess I'm just, because I have no interest in interviewing John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. Fuck those guys, right? Not anything against Jasmine Crockett. She's been on the show like twice, apparently. And actually not that long ago. And so he was like, all right, cool. So he went out and said and told his audience, like, this is what they fucking told me to do. And he did what you should do, which is he just released the interview online because that's not governed by the FCC. And of course, it garnered millions of views because people are like, oh shit, like
a lot more views than it would have garnered on from the ratings from the show. So now again, they would have released it online as well, but Colbert going out and being like, hey, they told me I couldn't do this, so I'm doing it here, obviously brought a lot more eyeballs to it. And it was really funny too, because like Brendan Carr went on Ingram's show the night after basically to talk about this stuff. And he was like, we didn't threaten CBS to say that, this was done. So like when Colbert says that like they were being threatened, like he's lying. And then Larry Ingram was like, right, because you wouldn't have enforced the equal time provision against him. He's like, well, no, I probably would have done that if they had gone ahead and the interview. So oops. Like, okay, cool. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, funny.
You're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud, you dumb fuck. But again, like he has to because he wants to make sure that other lawyers are doing the same thing, essentially.
That's correct. And also he's playing to an audience of one, if we're being honest. Right?
Yeah.
So they do that. Jasmine Crockett not too pleased about it because it gave Talarico a bit of a boost up.
Sure.
I mean, it is what it is. Apparently that race is getting a little heated between the two of them, which I'm here to say, I know they both are big fans of our show. Stop it. Knock it off, okay? Like, this is dumb. Don't fight in the mud against each other because you both are going to need the other person, whoever wins the nomination, okay? Like, don't make this so division heavy that then your camps of supporters are like, fuck that guy or fuck her if she wins. That's a terrible choice, and that's how you end up losing. Take note of what happened in New York when Mamdani and the other dude were like, hey, I'm for me, obviously, but if it's not me, vote for that guy. Hey, if it's not him, vote for the other guy. And I support them, right? Like, that's
and again, little easier in New York because they have ranked choice voting in New York, so it's easy for Brad Lander to go out and be like, mark me first, and then mark Zoran second, and vice versa. Right. But yeah, I get your point. The more apt comparison is the Hillary Clinton Bernie Sanders 2016.
Well, exactly. That's what you do not want to happen.
Correct.
And that keeps happening. By the way, a great argument for ranked choice voting. Like, you can have primaries where you can fight hard, but you don't have to fight to destroy the other person. Because it's like, bro, let's work together. Let's try to fucking make it happen. And by the way, if Crockett loses, she's out of Congress. I don't think Jasmine Crockett is she's just gonna stay out of politics. Dude, I'll see you in 2 years, run again. Right? Like, just run for that seat.
Right.
I mean, look at Sherrod Brown. Right? Or, Sherrod Brown. It was like...
Yeah, no, Sherrod Brown. You're right.
Yeah. He was like, I'm out. Hey, I'm back. Like, and by the way, it looks like he's probably going to win that race. So, it doesn't have to be the end of days. I don't know if she's going to win or not. And look, here's my attitude. I like Jasmine Crockett a lot. I like James Talarico quite a bit, too. I know more about James Crockett than I do Talarico, but he seems like a good dude. Their policies are basically exactly the same. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with either one of them winning, ultimately.
Right.
I have I don't have a dog in that fight at all. Like, Crockett's the best and Talarico sucks. I don't. I do know that apparently some of, a super PAC that supports him is, making ads saying, if she wins, we lose, and, darkening her skin and shit like that. Don't fucking do that. And Talarico should come out and be very much against that. Look, I don't know if he has or not, and I'm not saying... he's involved in it. I'm not saying that super PACs do whatever the fuck they want. This is the problem, right? But he needs to, if he hasn't come out, he needs to denounce it. That shit's unacceptable. And also any of the she's a woman so she can't win type of shit. Any of that is not acceptable. And going the other way, Talarico's white and Beto was white and he can't win. Any of that shit. And her campaign has not said that. I'm just saying any of that kind of conversation is fucking dumb and counterproductive. It just doesn't work. Stop fighting each other. Does not need to be a Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders situation. You're both winners. Just come together and beat Ken Paxton what's his face?
John Cornyn.
John Cornyn.
Or no,
wait,
is it John Cornyn?
Yeah, it's John Cornyn.
Yeah, it's John Cornyn. Okay.
So, just work together. You don't need to fight against each other. That would be fucking stupid. So please stop doing that. But yeah,
and then the other FCC thing that came out recently is not only are they chilling free speech, but they're also getting into mandated propaganda as well. As Brendan Carr has come out and quote urged broadcasters to air patriotic pro-America content to help celebrate the United States' 250th anniversary, saying that they can, quote, voluntarily choose to indicate their commitment to the celebration by doing stuff like starting the day with the Star Spangled Banner or the Pledge of Allegiance, or broadcasting daily programming to highlight historical events and historically significant sites during news segments such as national parks. And again, because this is the Trump administration, it's not a simple hey, it would be cool if you did this. This becomes more of a, hey, if you don't do this, there might be consequences for you down the road kind of thing.
I believe the technical term is voluntold.
Right, yes.
I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, look, I'm one of those disgusting card-carrying liberals who thinks that pledging allegiance to a country is very weird. I do. I think it's super.
I think a lot of jingoistic practices actually are pretty weird to celebrate just because you happen to live within these crayon scrawled, lines that somebody drew on a fucking map.
I think having kids in school put their hand over their heart and pledge allegiance is weird. I think it's weird. I think you can be patriotic without being a fucking robot. I think it's just super strange.
I think people should understand that that being patriotic should be something that's observed through action and not through ritual. I think that's something that most people in this country could be definitely educated better on on doing. Like fucking standing up at a ball game and putting your fucking hand over your heart while the Star Spangled Banner is on doesn't make you patriotic. It's just observing a performance ritual that you're expected to observe. So
yeah, and by the way, you're doing it 9 times out of 10 through peer pressure. Like that. That's it. Mm-hmm. Everyone else is doing it. I better do it. Right? Nah, fuck that. Get out of here. I'm gonna go get a hot dog at that time.
Right. Well, like no, but like even me, like so, like when I've gone to sporting events, like now, especially while this dipshit's been in charge, but even throughout the Biden administration, like I've stopped like holding my hand over my heart during the.
You stand up
during the. I do stand, and that's the thing. Like because there's still peer pressure to like if I sit down, like people around me are gonna give me are gonna give me fucking shit. But I just stand now and I hold my hands behind my back and keep my head down and. Like that's basically it. So it's my small bit of my performative non-compliance. Let's say so.
with the audio of Trump blaring just ever so slightly in the background. I'm gonna be a good boy. I want to be a good boy. No, look. I mean, here's the thing. I think you do what you do, but to me, as I've gotten older, I just realized like. It's a very weird thing to like, especially to kids, to be like, fucking, you better fucking do all this. And then you're like, okay, like, why are we doing that? But
well, and again, there's the belief that like you're obligated to pay fealty to your country. And just like, no, actually the country's obligated to show me why they're deserving of my allegiance, I guess you could say, or my devotion.
Right. And the thing is, you don't have to be in this like weird devoted sort of behavior in order to give a shit about the country. I care very deeply about the country and what it stands for and what it should stand for. Right. And that all, with all that, we come on this show every single week to talk about all of the shit that is happening that is doing a disservice to that, right? Just going out there and being like, everything is okay. It's like tears are streaming and your family is starving in the background isn't patriotism, to your point. Like pushing against things that you know are wrong, that's patriotism. Standing up for things that you know are hurting the country or hurting American citizens, that is what's standing. That's what
it's quite literally an original American ideal is standing up against power that are doing bad things. So
yeah, exactly. And look, I'll give one exception because I believe in nuance. I'll give one exception. When the Olympics are going on, fuck all those other countries. You're supposed to stand for America, and that's how I operate.
Well, here's the problem.
Or never even heard of.
You know me. I'm a huge hockey fan. Yes. The gold medal game, as we're recording this, is tomorrow morning. U.S. versus Canada. Not only is like, am I not feeling like very rah America about it right now? Also, the U.S. national team, perhaps one of the most unlikable teams that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like it is literally a team filled with fucking hockey scumbags. So and also like on the other hand, Canada winning would objectively be hilarious to see what the reaction from Trump would be.
Like bomb him. He's gonna be like part of me kind of wants Canada to pull it out against the United States. Yeah. Look, here's the thing. Like, I don't care about the Winter Olympics because it's cold, and that altogether does not. It's not
is not compatible with some other aspects of yourself. So
right. If you're looking at this screen, it's a lot of Summer Olympics going on over here. It's a lot of Winter Olympics going on Brad's side of the screen. Right. That's how the show is divided. When it comes to Summer Olympics, like I love watching like the Jamaican track team kick the shit out of everybody. Because they're fucking awesome. Also, they're black. Like, yeah, I'm pro-black. But at the same time, I'm like, America, could we try? And we're just never in the conversation. Like, we're almost never in the conversation. As far as like, yeah, we're second, but it's like it's a pretty distant second, right? Like, so, like, but every other sport outside of like track and field, I'm super pro-America about it. Like, I just am. But that's my only time I get jingoistic about America and all that other shit. I'm like, fuck yeah, I love that shit. I love to see like an American athlete win and they're crying when they hear the fucking national anthem. I love that shit. That is in my bones. However, Still don't like the Trump administration. I'm never going to pretend that I do. I don't like that conservative bullshit. I hate that anytime an athlete speaks out against conservatives during the Olympics, they try to land-base them and shit on them and say they're not real Americans. Fuck that. They are real Americans. Like, they came out, it was this week that there were people saying, and I think it was someone in the Trump administration, saying like how offensive it is that these athletes are using the Olympics to protest. And I just commented, I was like, Stairs and Jesse Owens. What are we talking about?
Like, what and not only that, but like 68 Olympic games as well.
Right,
yeah,
like,
just read a fucking book, dude. Like holy shit.
Like, the Olympics has always been political. Like, come on, man. Like, you cannot be that unbelievably ignorant to world history. Like, you just can't. Like, that's nuts. All right. Speaking of world history, maybe we're about to make it. This isn't good. Trump says he is considering a limited military strike on Iran. Don't. How about that?
Yeah. Well, and so I've heard, like, on background, a lot of people in the administration have been kind of giving details about this. He firmly believes that like a punch in the face strategy, like doing like a real punch, like you're whacking a fucking dog with a newspaper, right, is like a magic deterrent that is very strong and powerful and will make people back down. And it's just like, bro, like it's easy to do that to like Venezuela. Like, because Venezuela is much less powerful than you and doesn't have like a huge military force and stuff like that. It's easy to do that to certain countries in the Middle East. It's not an advisable thing to do that to a country that literally probably has nuclear weapons. Not a great idea.
So I don't think that Iran actually secretly has them, but that's not what America should be worried about. It should be worried about destabilizing the region, and it should be worried about Iran going full blast against somebody else that just happens to be in the region that we have an undying love for. Contrary to
and that's the thing, they would be talking. I think the talk is they would be talking about doing like a joint strike with Israel, which again, unless you're ready to commit Americans to having boots on the ground, which again would be a fucking horrendous idea, don't do that. But then again, what a great distraction that would be for him with all the other insane bullshit that's going on right now.
Here's the thing. I think that there is a and this is hard to say with any, I don't have any sort of definitive information on this, right? This is just speculation. I think Americans are legitimately very tired of war. I think they are.
I don't think you need to. I think it's okay to speculate on that. I feel like that's probably correct.
No. Okay, let me say it a little bit more specifically. I think reasonable Americans are very tired of war. However, I know that Republicans, once the shit breaks out, they like that part of their brain switches and they're like, fucking hell yeah, I'm back on board. But I still think a large percentage of those people are actually legitimately tired of this, right? They have seen their friends and their kids and shit like that be maimed and killed for well over a decade. And I think they're very, very legitimately tired of it. I think
and not only that, but it's I mean, not that hypocrisy is any problem of theirs, but it's also pretty difficult to have spent fucking years complaining about the drag that the war on terror made on the U.S. economy, and we finally have broken ourselves free from that. And then to turn around and be like, hey, let's get into another conflict that's likely to span years, that's likely to cost trillions of dollars, would be just outright fucking insane. And especially a war that literally no rank and file citizen in the country would support.
Yeah. I think this is a huge mistake. The Trump administration saying, hey, give me or Trump saying I'll make a decision 10 or 15 days from now. It's like very sweepstakes type bullshit. I mean, he did that when he bombed Iran last time, and he was like, oh, I'll give you an answer in 2 weeks. And then he bombed him a couple days later. And it's you think this is television type of shit? This would be a grave mistake. Like a straight up, hey, we're not doing the strategic type of thing. We're just going all in. This is a mistake. And look, I don't like what's happening, obviously, because I have a heart and I'm a human being. I don't like what's happening in Gaza. I think that's fucked up. I also know that there's plenty of people in Israel. I know Nuance is dead, but there are plenty of people in Israel who do not support that shit. I know that if you do this and it goes into an all-out big-time fucking war, they are going to strike the shit out of Tel Aviv and all of those places, and you are going to see massive casualties to people who don't deserve this shit. Let alone, by the way, Muslims in the region, in Iran and elsewhere, because this will spread. It cannot stay just in Iran. If Israel is involved in that strike, and it's a major strike into Tehran, you're going to see other Muslim countries get involved. It is impossible to believe that they won't. You're going to see an increase from Hezbollah and all of these other places taking an opportunity to go, oh, we're doing open shit? Let's fucking go. It is going to get bad. Meanwhile, the United States will be sitting, tens of thousands of miles away being like, hey, we're supporting it and we're sending shit over, but nobody can get to us. But they will get to us. You will see terrorism in the United States. You will see an increase over decades of radicalization. You think you can't get a massive swell of ranks into Hezbollah by bombing the shit out of Iran? Of course you can. They're partially funded by Iran. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you're going to see a complete destabilization of the region. How do you think that works? You think Saudi Arabia wants this shit? Like, Saudi Arabia is trying to make deals with Israel right now.
Honestly, Saudi Arabia wants this shit the least. They're just like, let us be over here, peddling our soft power. We don't want anything to do with this.
They're setting up deals, unprecedented deals with Israel right now, financial deals right now over the last year, because they're like, why don't we just we hate them, they hate us. Like, of course, but money talks, baby. Like, let's get some trade. Let's do this type of shit. That's what they're trying to do. If you blow up the regime, if you destabilize the regime in Iran, by the way, because again, you have to put all of these fucking trapdoors and caveats. No one is saying that the regime in Iran is good. It's very bad. Like the Ayatollahs and all of this shit is awful. And I would love for Iran citizens to be able to overturn that on their own. But if we get involved, all we are going to do is end up with some fucking Rambo 3 type shit, seeming like the heroes in the beginning, and then just turn around and blowing up in our face, no pun intended, soon after that. This is a terrible idea. We are not going over there to save and help anybody. You just made the argument, the Trump administration, you just made the argument a couple of months ago that we bombed Iran and blew up their nuclear program. Then what you going over there for now? You said you fixed it. Why are you going over there now? What, to protect the protesters? Oh, right. You said that if they crossed that red line and killed protesters, you were going to come over there. And then you did nothing. You just let those people burn, dude. You don't care. It's just all the idea here is to destabilize that region and then just kind of build a thing that you can try to control by getting supply lines and shit like that. You're not worried about that country. Keep in mind, according to pre-Iraq war population numbers, Iraq had 24 million citizens. Do you know how many Iran has? 90 million. What happens to the refugee crisis if you start to destabilize that country in that region? Oh, we don't want these Muslims coming in this country. What do you think happens if 90 million people lose their fucking country, dude? What do you think happens? Don't do this. And Republicans are like, I hope this doesn't happen. Who put this idiot in power? You did. Don't do this. This is a terrible idea.
By the way, Republicans in Congress, if you really hope this doesn't happen, why don't you work with Democrats to pass a law that says, hey, the president better not fucking strike Iran without congressional approval, or else.
Which, by the way, would be illegal. Right? Because there, as many people have pointed out, there is not a single debate. There's not a conversation to be had. They're not even going on TV and trying to lie to you and be like, hey, look at this yellow cake or whatever bullshit. They're not even trying to have a conversation with the American people over this. He's just like, I might do a full-on strike in 10 to 15 days. As if it's legally right for him to do this. And look, Democrats are not loud enough. Republicans are certainly not. It's like, do we even have a job? Like, they're not saying anything. Get off your asses and get to work on this. You need to pass legislation to condemn this shit. You need to be on television 24 hours a fucking day talking about the president does not have a legal authority to do this. The Bush administration at least went to Congress to make the argument. They agreed with it. It was on a bad, it was predicated on a lie and all sorts of stuff, but they at least made the argument. They put the shit on TV and made the argument. People go, oh, I guess they got aluminum tubes. I guess that's bad, right?
Yeah, and again, like, you say what you will about the boondoggle that was that whole thing. It had the support of Congress and the American people when they launched into it. They did.
And look, I know there are going to be people like, well, I didn't support it. Yeah, you didn't support it. The vast majority of people, unfortunately, did. Right? And they played on people's heartstrings after 9/11. Understandable, all that stuff, right? Look, I wasn't even against it. I'll be honest, I wasn't even against it. I was like this evidence is, if this is real. Look, they brought out Colin Powell for a reason, because Colin Powell was a person people trusted. And so it was like, if Colin Powell is saying this, he would not lie. Turns out they gave this motherfucker false information. And it was like, take your credibility and light it on fire in front of the American people. It's fucked up, right? But there is nothing that they're doing to try to convince you of anything.
And again, with the people in the administration, again, talking on background to reporters and stuff like that, they're not even offering up
nothing.
A reason that the administration is considering like rolling out as a predicate for this to happen. So
get the entire fuck out of my face with this bullshit. Like, get out of here. This is absolute nonsense. Please don't do this. Please,
Donald the Dove.
Right. He, by the way, he announced this 10 to 15 day shit during his Board of Peace meeting.
Of course he did.
Dude, just call it the Legion of Doom and get it over with. Like, dude, what? Just call it the Axis powers. You're already there.
He was too busy. He was too busy sleeping during the parts where he wasn't talking. So,
in fairness.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.